Hello and welcome to Bohemian Cello Expansion 1 tutorial on control and behavior forcing. So, in our Soul Capture series Expansion 1 stage, we have carefully scripted behavior management of our virtual performer into 3 distinct different moods to make sure that you as a composer get access to instant inspiration from playing our instrument. But there may come a time to force a behavior, as you might prefer a different approach to the phrase than the virtual performer has chosen. The virtual performer handles legato type selection, bow types, articulations, bow direction, speeds, etc., etc. But if you would want something different than the performer has chosen, you force it on by using one of the force keys. Well, force key basically means a temporary change of behavior of the performer. And once the force key is released, the performer will pick up exactly where you left off and carry on controlling things with the most natural progression it can think of. This is one of the key reasons why force keys do not latch, as they would effectively switch off the performer, which would not bode well for a realistic approach, unless you're playing shorts, like staccatos, spiccatos, pizzicatos, because these shorts, you might want to play them for a long periods of time and you wouldn't want to hold the force key down, so they can be turned to key switches. Let's have a look at what forcing certain behavior does to the phrase. So first, let's play a phrase without any force keys and then again with force keys applied. As you can hear, force keys can improve the phrasing of your composition. So in this case, I have forced mid-arcs instead of the performer's selection of sustain. And this is to increase the emotive nature of the phrase. I wanted those swells, those sort of acceleration of emotion in there. And then at the end, I've actually forced sustain, and this is to have a sort of a level tone, nice sustain without any accented swell. These are small, minor differences, but they actually make a big difference to the overall feel of the phrase. Now, let's hear them an octave lower. As you will hear, the benefits of the earlier edits actually transfer rather well across the range of the cello. So, have a listen. Of course, using the force keys too much, for example, all notes to be straightforward sustains, would result in less realistic performance than if simply left to the performer. So when using the force keys, it should always be used in a musical context, if and when needed. Force keys are also a great way to improve legato flow, but it is good to remember that velocity is also a really powerful control tool. As this is a video about control and force keys, so say I have a faster phrase like this, and then let's have a look at how to improve it. We could hear that the opening notes didn't have much time to blossom. So this is something that happens generally when you play a instrument which has thicker strings. I'm a violinist, so my strings are incredibly reactive. The moment I touch it with a bow, it starts resonating, playing, and faster I have the bow motion, more it resonates, but it's very, very reactive. I also play on a viola, and when I originally started on the viola many years ago, I've noticed that the viola is lagging behind. It's this feel that it's trying to catch up with your playing, that it's sort of, the strings are slower. Regardless whichever strings you put on, I've tried many, the viola will always lag behind a bit in the response of the strings. And this is of course even more pronounced in the cello. So what I've done here, I've increased the velocity of the opening notes, and I've applied a force key on the last phrase, which opens with a really short note followed by the run. So I'll force a sustain there. Have a listen. Basically, this way we have given the performer a hint on the first note that we want stronger attack. Ultimately, like in a real world, if I had a run to follow, I would have to start with a bow slightly tougher to get the string to resonate immediately. Higher dynamics have generally sharper attacks, and playing first note slightly harder is always easier in live performance than using any force key or key switch or anything else of that matter. So this is an easy way to control the performer on the fly with little hints and without need for force keys. Performer will always try to follow on from your instructions the best it can, allowing the edits to remain minor. So we hope that this quick tutorial into force keys and control mechanisms of the performer has proven helpful. As always, we have made the performer to need only minimal guidance, but of course, if the time comes, you have the freedom to tweak. We will look forward to seeing you on our future tutorials.